In the frozen heart of Manchuria, something monstrous was being built. The Japanese government gave it an innocent name, the Epidemic Prevention and Water Purification Department. But its true commander had only one obsession: using human beings as laboratory subjects. The site chosen was Pingfang, a quiet village about 24 kilometers south of Harbin. Thousands of workers built it, and then were silenced forever. When it was finished, it was one of the largest covert military facilities on Earth. The prisoners arrived at night, blindfolded, bound, and terrified. The scientists called them Maruta, which means logs, not human beings. They were men, women, and children, snatched from cities, battlefields, and villages. Inside, at least 8 separate divisions ran experiments no human mind should ever imagine. They wore white coats and called themselves doctors, but what they did had nothing to do with healing. Their research began with one goal: find the perfect biological weapon. They bred plague-carrying fleas by the millions, enough to end entire cities. Live prisoners were strapped to poles outdoors and exposed to plague bombs, frostbite, and poison gas. The frostbite experiments were designed to discover how Japanese soldiers could survive Russia's brutal winters. They placed living people in pressure chambers to observe what happened to the human body at extreme altitudes. In 1940, Japan deployed plague-filled weapons over Chinese cities, killing hundreds of thousands. The people of Ningbo had no idea what was falling from the sky that morning. Within days, plague swept through the city, and no one knew where it came from. Back at Pingfang, Ishii presented his results, and Tokyo asked for more. Inside the cells, prisoners knew almost nothing, except that no one who entered the labs ever returned. Some experiments were performed without anesthesia, because the scientists believed it would contaminate the data. Many of the scientists were young doctors, some barely out of university. Over 9 years, Unit 731 experimented with at least 26 different deadly diseases. The smokestacks burned day and night, erasing evidence, erasing lives. Some prisoners had been soldiers, resistance fighters, captured on the battlefield. Seasons changed outside the walls, but inside, time had only one meaning. Those who were not taken to the labs counted days, hoping for a miracle that never came. By 1944, the war was turning, and Ishii knew the Allies were closing in. In August 1945, with Soviet forces advancing, Ishii gave the order: destroy everything. The surviving prisoners were killed, so they could never tell what they had witnessed. They blew up the buildings, but they could not destroy what had already been done. Ishii escaped, and he took his research data with him. When Soviet investigators arrived, they found ruins, but enough to understand what had happened. Then came the greatest scandal: America offered Ishii full immunity in exchange for his data. While Nazi doctors were executed at Nuremberg, the Unit 731 scientists walked free. Many went on to become respected professors, surgeons, and medical directors in post-war Japan. For decades, the survivors had no voice, their testimonies were classified or ignored. The Soviets held their own trial in 1949, but most of the world never heard about it. For 40 years, Japan's official position was simple: Unit 731 never existed. It was Japanese journalists who first forced the truth into public view. Even today, many Japanese students only learn about Unit 731 in a single paragraph, if at all. Today, a museum stands on the ruins of Pingfang, bearing witness so the world cannot forget. Historians estimate at least 3,000 died inside the compound, and hundreds of thousands more in the field attacks. Shiro Ishii died in 1959, of natural causes, at home, never charged with any crime. The Nuremberg Code of 1947 was built partly in response to crimes like these, but it came too late. For decades, the American files on Unit 731 remained classified, hidden from the public. In 1994, Chinese survivors sued the Japanese government, and lost. Even the centrifuge, spinning human beings to determine how much G-force the body could survive. And all of this happened in one of the most beautiful landscapes on Earth, which makes it harder to comprehend. The biological weapons data from Unit 731 fed the Cold War arms race of both superpowers. Some former Unit 731 members spoke in old age, a few expressed regret, most said nothing at all. In 1989, construction workers in Tokyo accidentally unearthed over 100 human skeletons from a former military medical site. Some physical evidence survived the destruction, and it is more disturbing than any description. Today, medical ethicists still debate whether any of the Unit 731 research data should ever be used, or cited. For China, Unit 731 is not history, it is living memory, passed from grandparents to grandchildren. Even inside those walls, there was resistance, small, feudal, and profoundly human. Ishii lived inside the compound, his home and his atrocities separated by only one corridor. Some guards heard prayers through the walls at night, and did nothing, because they could do nothing. The full death toll from Unit 731's field operations may never be known, it is simply too large. Modern forensic science has confirmed what survivors described, the physical evidence does not lie. Today, young Japanese people learning this history must confront something their textbooks did not fully prepare them for. Unit 731 remains a wound between China and Japan, one that official diplomacy has never fully healed. What was lost at Pingfong was not only lives, it was the entire world each person had carried inside them. Every night the museum closes, but the memory it holds does not sleep. Unit 731 is not an isolated horror, it is part of a pattern that history has repeated again and again. In 1972, nations signed a treaty banning biological weapons, but the research never fully stopped. Even inside the worst places in history, individual acts of humanity, small and hidden, still happened. The question for every generation of doctors is the same: what will you refuse, even when ordered? Harbin is now a city of 10 million, life has grown back over the frozen horror. In 2002, for the first time, scholars from multiple nations compared notes, and the full picture was darker than any single nation had admitted. They were not statistics, they were people with names, families, and entire futures that were stolen. Japan gave the world cherry blossoms and haiku, and also this. Over 1 million visitors come to the museum each year, most of them young.